when Ian first approached me to come here and talk, I was wondering why would anyone in Ian be interested in an independent filmmaker and struggle of independent cinema, because mostly people who pass out of here straight, whoever is interested in the entertainment industry goes straight to the studios. You know, I thought maybe it's a way of the studios to find out how to destroy us totally. Then I came here and I saw this TEDx, so I realized, okay, we are a little part of that X-independence. The last couple of months also I've been witnessing something else which kind of was a learning process. Someone who is an ex-IIM student again, so this last few months I'm constantly having interactions with people from IIM, called up, got in touch with me through LinkedIn, and then say that, listen, I want to meet you and I have some marketing ideas and how we can bring in value to your films and brand, in-film branding and all. And I was extremely skeptical. You know, I kept on telling him that, listen, for the last 10 years I've been making films independently, and I think that, you know, in-film brands always are looking for happy films, you know, and stars that, you know, mostly brands are interested in. So I don't know why you want to waste your time and my time. And he kept on insisting that, no, you know, we have studied your films and the way you've been working, and we think that we can bring in some value addition. And finally I told him that, yes, okay, next week when I go back, we'll meet up and figure it out. Meanwhile, there was another ex-IIM student who called me, and he's handling some Bajaj account, marketing account, so and really well paid, whatever, saying that he wants to quit. Again, he got in touch with me through Facebook. I'm quite active on social network. And he wants to quit his job and come and join and help me market my next film, which comes. And he came down from Pune. We had meetings, and I was, why would I trust you to market my films? You've been selling Bajaj, whatever. And he said, okay, show me your film, and I will, you know, give you a presentation. So immediately sat down, watched the film. He went out for 3 hours to some cafe, sat down, came back with a presentation, which was really nice. It, of course, needs to be developed, but really nice. And he's very, very passionate about films. That is what interested me about him. And I told him that, okay, one is usually we hire, as independent filmmakers, hire people who handle marketing about 2-3 months before our films are released. We're not like studios who have in-house marketing department. And he says that, listen, I want to quit my job right now, come and join you and help you market this film. So I said that, okay, I am willing to give it a thought, you know, we can work towards it, but, you know, are you aware of what all you have to give up, you know? So he's like, yeah, I'm willing to, you know, I've thought about it, and, you know, I can come down to Bombay. Bombay is an expensive city to live in. And he says, but can you tell me, you know, what kind of expectations I can have? I said, nothing, you know, I can't pay you anything as an independent filmmaker, but if you are successful in what you are doing, what you think you can do, we will always share a part of what you bring into the company. And that's what has been the basic key of how, you know, for the last 11 years I've been making films. Right now in February I'll be releasing my 6th film. Apart from the films that you mentioned, I produced a film called Chauranga, which was directed by a first-time director, which got released in January. It won the best film at Mami and IFLA. And been producing, we're slowly getting into producing films which are directed by first-time filmmakers. I will go back to what I'm supposed to talk here about, the struggle of independent cinema, and I'll go to a statement that Sandeep Ray was using. I really liked it. He was talking about struggle and belief. With that, I'll add dreams. I think when I was in class 8, that's when I saw this film called David Copperfield. I didn't understand the film totally, but I knew that I wanted to be a part of that world, the cinema, images, sound. And from then on, like I'm born and brought up in Bhutan, so which I like weekly once we used to see a film. There was only one theater. I come from a middle class background, and I didn't know how this journey would happen because there was no film school or anything in Bhutan. But this was a dream I had, and with that came in at some point, I don't know when, belief that this is something that I don't have an option. That was the only dream I had. I didn't know how to reach it. I thought of doing everything possible to try and reach that. And then came the struggle. But the struggle has somehow, like nowadays when I think about it, I think it's not bad, because at the end of the day, 11 years, 6 films, however difficult it is, I've done what I've wanted to. I've never made films which have been commissioned. Good, bad, ugly, I have fucked up or I've done a good job, but it's my responsibility, which was shared by a lot of people. A lot of people believed in what I wanted to do. So coming to when I came to Bombay after having trained in filmmaking to want to make my film, the first challenge was, for me what was important is that to make a film that I believed in, not to become a director, not to become someone who is told that okay, we want this, and that was never the passion. The passion, the driving force was, I want to tell this story that I really believe in, and I will do anything to try and, I'm willing to wait, but it has to be that story. So my first film, My Brother Nikhil, when I was trying to make it, I was fortunate that my actors, most of them, whoever I went to, were immediately willing to work for the film without any money. By then I had worked 10 years in the industry as an editor, writer, music producer, art director, working in different aspects so that I would empower myself to work independently as a filmmaker. And everybody's, my team came from people who believed in the film, in the story that I wanted to tell, and were all willing to work for free. And the only people who were not willing to stand by me were actually the studios, the corporates, whatever the funding bodies, because one, it didn't fit into a project. Now, mostly, unfortunately, when initially the corporates came into India, we were all happy, that okay, now stories will get priority. And my experience has been always that okay, your story is interesting, but who is the star? And after a point, I realized that your story does not matter. They didn't want to, no one with money believed in the story that I wanted to tell. And finally, I just started asking friends, family, everybody to chip in, and that's how I made my first film. At the same time, I was extremely fortunate that when it came to distribution, which is something that we don't have in India, we don't have an independent distribution system. So even if you can make your film, how do you distribute it? There is no set of distributors or cinema chains which show your film. So I was extremely fortunate that Yash Raj, which is one of the biggest studios, biggest production houses rather, took up my film for distribution, and it got a all India, all world release, and I got a kind of visibility because I got a support. So it kind of, that's why if you see the Wikipedia, the definition of independent cinema is independently produced and distributed. Coming out, I realized that though it was what I thought as funny as I can get, there were reviews which says that if you watch this film, it's a sin to watch this film. Sorry, so people were getting very moralistic about what the film was talking about. Though I felt that people have addressed the same thing many years before I've done in Bengali cinema, kind of thing. So it was perceived as non-mainstream, and secondly, it was a huge setback for me because it released the day after the Mumbai terrorist attacks. So nobody went to watch the film. So it was a big setback for me as a filmmaker, as a film producer. And then I thought that how do I make my next film? And that was again, as an independent filmmaker, you're constantly trying to see what the situation is and have to innovate yourself to find answers. And I thought that I had these different stories which again no one was willing to back. The 4 stories of I Am, each of them could have been a separate film. It's about single motherhood, child sexual abuse, same-sex love, and the Kashmiri Pandit issue. So these 4 stories. And I thought that the desire and the need for me to make this film is bigger than the challenges and the fact that I didn't have money. And I realized that there were a lot of people who would write to me on Facebook, on Twitter, saying that, we are interested to be a part of cinema, how do we do it? And I thought that, okay, let me just try, maybe it won't work out. Because at that time, we didn't have any platforms in India like Indiegogo or any other crowdfunding platforms or crowdsourcing platforms. So I remember putting up a post on my Facebook account saying that this is the story I want to tell. And if you believe that this film needs to be made, you can give me money, anything above 5,000 rupees, or you can volunteer and work for the film. So I remember still, and it will always be precious, the first check that came to me, actually, sorry, it was not 5,000, it was 1,000 and above. So the first check that came to me was 2,000 rupees from a student in Pune saying that I was abused as a child, and for me, making this film is a part of my story being told, and I want to be a part of this film. And for me, that was a sign that this film would happen. I sent my assistant immediately running to the bank to deposit that money to the account of the film I Am. And over the next 1 year, that's the period it took to shoot the entire film. About 400 people from 47 cities across the world gave me money. A lot of people worked. I remember we were shooting in Bangalore, a lady sent lunch for the entire unit. Someone else gave their car. So people contributed in terms of working as assistants, art directors, music directors, artists, sending lunch, various things, various ways. And for me, it gave me so much more confidence about myself that yes, when you're constantly told by people that no one is interested in watching the kind of films you all make, that there was an audience who was helping me make my films by giving me money even before the film is ready. They were supporting. And this is where, very often these days I want to question this whole concept of what is entertainment? What is entertainment supposed to be? When you go for a meeting, the biggest curse that as a filmmaker who considers himself to be an artist in India is, I studied in Jadavpur University, Kolkata, and so when I went to Bombay to become a filmmaker after my training, I was very proud that I'm an artist. The first word that I had to drop from my identity is artist in Bombay, because that means you are a red light when it comes to economics, And you realize that in India, cinema, though it's one of the youngest form of art, is under information and broadcast and not under art and culture. So you don't get any support as an independent filmmaker, financially or otherwise, to make your films. So you have one of the highest taxed industries, which makes filmmakers really, really bleed. So it does not matter whether you're a 1 crore film or a 100 crore film, you still have to pay 45% tax, entertainment tax, and then 50% after. I think very few people know, how difficult it is to recover for a film, because for 100 rupee ticket, about 45 rupees goes for entertainment tax. From that other 55 rupees that's left, 50% is taken by the exhibition, so by the theatre. Then from that 25% left, again 15% goes to the distributor. So what comes to the producer is really, really a tiny amount. And what you get from the theatre becomes lesser and lesser every week, because the percentage share of the theatre becomes higher and higher. With the digital revolution coming in, everyone has been again telling me that, okay, this is the time to celebrate. You can put your film on YouTube. You have Netflix, Amazon, all true. But at the same time, as a filmmaker, I feel that there's a huge difference between watching a film in a theatre like this and sitting alone and watching on your mobile. It cannot, the art, the creative, the way you imagine a film, which is meant to be shown on this screen and what is meant to be shown on that mobile can't be the same. It's a different form of art, and I'm not looking down on that form of art, but that is not cinema. Maybe that is movie cinema, or we have to invent some other word for it. It's a different experience, and that's why this whole thing that also that how we define the word entertainment. Entertainment. I'm constantly told that people have such difficult lives, and when they come to the theatre at the end of the day, they want to be entertained. You have to make them feel happy. So as an independent filmmaker, have you become a commissioned artist or a fashion designer who has to cater to a certain taste or the way someone feels, and make people happy? And I'm wondering, who are these people that have to be constantly made to feel good about themselves and who do not like to think or watch stories of what maybe questions their happiness or questions a lot of things around them. Why is questioning or feeling empathy for the other such a bad thing for us to do? Why? It's almost like today everyone is so obsessed with selfies that you very often forget to look out. I was recently shooting with when I was shooting my film, I had one French actor with me, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see him with a camera, and he was constantly clicking others and listening, having conversations. When I was watching my own actors, I was seeing them constantly, pouting and clicking selfies. And I was like, do you realize that as an actor, as an artist, you need to be looking out, you need to be sharing, you need to, that's how you grow. Similarly, I feel that the act of sitting in a theatre, watching a film, breathing with so many other people, sharing the same air, the same, excitement about things is such a different experience. Why do we have to, sometimes e-commerce scares me because, the big basket, ordering everything on big baskets is so tempting. But at the same time, I miss the smile of my blossom. I miss what I hate about, this whole demonetizing thing. I mean, maybe I hope it's temporary, is the fact that I have to go to a D-Mart and buy everything with my cash card, where I'm not going to my small neighborhood shop who would give me that personal touch, and what is wrong about that? What is wrong about just walking down 15 minutes to the nearby shop instead of sitting on your sofa, having, chips and watching TV, and becoming a couch potato? It's nice to interact with people. It's nice to go out to a bookshop and buy a book. There is a beauty in it, and that's what I think very often we tend to forget. Am I speaking too much? I lost my time here, but I don't. Just someone signal me when I'm like that. So the challenges is finance, like I spoke about, is that who is willing to put their monies behind independent thought, because independent thought, first thing that comes as an artist is you're constantly thinking that, okay, in this country, again I'm talking strictly in context of India, is independent is very often provocative, and we have a film certification board which is very, 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 very regressive in a lot of ways. And you'll constantly hear, films are, I don't know why, targeted. Today you have an internet space where everything can be seen, available. At the same time, you will hear of a film coming out and says, this film will hurt the sentiments of this community, or this political party, or this, And I'm wondering that, what about the sentiments of the artists? I suppose we are such a tiny segment of the voters' bank that we don't matter. So you have to be careful about which religious sentiment you're hurting, what is supposed to be, any political references, then you become an anti-national, So constantly, you as an artist, you have to start censoring your thought, because at the end of it, you're not making a film to have it as a monologue. It's supposed to be a dialogue. You're looking for an audience. You want to speak to someone. It's not a self-gratification. But if you know from the beginning that if you talk of certain things, you might not get a release, it hurts. Okay, so I'm censored. So just I'll make it quick. Just a couple of other points. So one is censorship of thought. Two, when it comes to funding, even platforms, though I have done crowdfunding for a film like I Am, crowdfunding is extremely impractical when it comes to bigger, larger films. We had raised about 1 crore through crowdfunding. Is that in India, because again cinema does not come under art, suddenly I get a letter from SEBI saying that what you're doing is illegal, and so you end up paying about 47% of what you raise in form of taxes. You have to hire a very good lawyer and a CA, so the whole exercise becomes futile. So finance still remains a very big problem. The second problem is, once you make the film, how do you distribute it? MediaNet today kills independent cinema, because the bigger you are, the amount of money you spend to get all the news that you read on Bombay Times or Times of India or HT today are paid for. So it does not matter if your film has gone to 40 international film festivals, they won't write about it, though they keep crying about the state of cinema in this country. No one will write about your film till you pay for it. So media is contributing in a way. Same with satellite channels. When it comes to telecasting films, you're not looking for the same price as a dabang, but to be told that there is no value for what you have made is again because of certain moral policing that happens at every stage for independent cinema. And I feel that there is something very subconsciously which tries to either make you a part of the system or silence your voice, which does not tell the stories that is pleasing. Having said that, I feel again what keeps the struggle on is that you have a dream and it's worth the entire journey, and I think I'll end it there. Thank you.